Hello?
Hey,
Hello? Yeah.
can you hear yourself?
Now you can hear yourself?
Yeah, this one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who'd you have an argument with?
Oh, one of my professors. This is a long time ago regarding Sharia law.
Oh boy.
But I don't want to talk about it.
Well, then why did you bring it up?
No, I didn't bring it up. I just saw the paper.
It's like those women that go on Facebook, like, I've had a really bad day. Oh, what happened? I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah. It's complicated.
So tomorrow is going to be 20 years since September 11th, 2001. I don't know. Do any of you remember that day, like that morning?
Vividly.
What were you doing?
I was at college.
Because that's our Kennedy assassination for us.
Yeah, I mean in all fairness, I think that is the event that changed the world as we know it. Certainly, our response to it changed the world as we know it. But I was at college, walking through the hallway of kind of like the field house gym area, and just saw a large group of people gathering by a TV over by like a coffee shop. And naturally curious, went over to see what was going on, and the first plane had just hit.
That was Tower 1?
Wow.
Mm-hmm. And, you see, it was just eerily quiet. You couldn't hear anything until you saw these two girls kind of walk around the corner where people were gathering, and as soon as she saw the TV, she just started screaming. Her mom worked in the towers. So
wait, where were you?
I was at college.
Yeah, but where?
Up at Clark Summit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And, just to have silence break like that by just the scream, it was, that's something you'll never forget. And just watching, and, I didn't say much. And then you see the second plane hit. And
you're like, oh, this is real.
In that moment, you knew. It was like, all right, go pack up. We're going to war.
Yeah.
That's just,
Yep.
It is what it is. So I watched as much of it as I could. I didn't have cell phone at the time. So,
Imagine if there was the technology now that was then. The stories would be 10 times more horrific.
yeah.
You think?
Like, absolutely.
Oh,
just because
imagine
people would be in there live streaming.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Filming everything on their phones. I mean, just insanity.
I never even thought about that.
Oh,
Jesus
yeah.
Christ.
Yeah. I mean, because back then you didn't even have cell phones, right? I mean, they had cell phones, but it was
they were
very,
Well, no one had a
but-
video camera in their pocket.
they were very limited. I mean, the cell phones were like this
Yeah, it was-
thick.
yeah,
this
sure,
thick
be next
too.
to
Yeah, you had the Nextels and everything.
Yeah,
they
you
were for
could-
playing Snake and texting.
Yeah.
Where were
people.
you, Aja?
I remember. I think
You don't remember?
I'd be honest. Like I don't. I
You
know.
in America at this time?
Yeah.
How do you
I
not
know.
remember that? My wife got in trouble for not knowing, but she was in Russia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I forget. I don't know if I was. I think I was getting something to eat, and then my folks were like, "Turn on the TV." Something happened, but I don't like. I'll be honest. Everything was kind of like blank till I turned on the TV and started watching like everything that was happening, like everybody else.
So you were in your house.
Yeah.
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 Dan?
I was on my way to class as a commuter to Keystone. So I remember getting there and the campus was kind of like eerily empty.
Mm-hmm.
And just a few people walking. This one guy walked by me and I was like, hey, what's school closed today? The guy's like, oh, I don't know. Something happened in New York and like a plane flew into a building. So like, I don't know, school's canceled for the day. So I said, okay, turned right around. Sweet. I get to go home, go back to bed. Got home. I
You're
saw,
a dirty hippie.
yeah, I just wanted to, sweet, more time to go up to State Park and listen to the Dead.
Yeah.
So I got home and I put the news on. I think I watched it and my response at the time was just like, this is crazy. But I didn't have a big moment at that time of being like, oh my God, we're being attacked. This is something big. It was just like, this is some crazy ass shit going on right now. And I don't think it really took effect till later that night. I actually, we still went to work. I was working at a pizza place and I got to work and we just watched the news. We were dead all night, but just kind of watched it with this very eerie feeling of just nobody knows what's going on and how to react to it. And seeing this happening, we're all just kind of sat there silently and just watched the TV all night.
You?
I was in second period Spanish class, and she wouldn't. Teacher wouldn't turn on the TV. Then I went to my next class. That was Law and Citizen, as we talked about a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
And it was just it was weird. I remember talking to some friends, and this one girl in particular who I think we had like the same views of the world, and like we were sad together, and it's just strange to look back at it and be like, holy shit, like the world could possibly be ending, or the world as we knew it, at least. And it did. There's so many things that were put in place then in the name of, we need to do this for national security. We need to do this for national security. And I mean, we had no idea where it was going to lead. Then I remember hearing talks about World War III, but I remember also watching the news and like the little ticker on the bottom saying like, I don't know, whatever country, pledged 200,000 troops, or another country pledged X amount of troops.
That was like immediate. That was quick.
It was.
That was
well,
quick.
I think because everybody knew, like,
the pain train was coming.
yeah. I mean, for me, when I first saw it on the TV, I thought that it was just an accident. The first tower. I thought that a plane hit it, some crazy person.
Because remember those,
maybe one of those
school from the Empire State Building or something.
Yeah, one of those tourism
A
helicopters.
Cessna hit it. Yeah.
And you kind of see what's going on, and nobody knows what's going on. As soon as that second plane hit, it was just, it's like there's the first part of your life, and then the rest of it's coming up now. As soon as that second plane hit, you knew.
Yeah,
you knew. This is intentional. We're at war.
I was 2 years 21. I was up Hiles Monday night, and I was fucking shithouse wrecked. And I woke up the next morning, usually after a night of drinking. It's not like I'm usually up at the crack of noon.
Yeah, a little foggy.
For some reason, I woke up at like 8:45.
Yeah.
I went downstairs to get a glass of milk, and my father was at a job fair down at the arena down in Wilkes-Barre.
Mm-hmm.
And I turn on CNN, and I'm sitting there, making my Fruity Loops. And I turned on the CNN, and I said, oh man, is this the anniversary of 93 or something? Like, what is this?
Yeah.
I wasn't really paying attention. And then I saw the second plane hit.
Yep.
And then what a lot of people don't realize is that a lot of shit that happened around here was like, there was that in the initial hours, the first moments of, once you saw I think the towers fell at 9:40
in the morning.
Yeah. I think the first hit was like 8:45. And then, but we've always known that Scranton was a secondary target for the Cold War, so it would be like Washington, New York, and then Chamberlain, which made munitions. That would be a secondary target. And then it was like, so all these rumors started flying in the first few hours, like there's a plane heading towards the Berwick power plant.
Oh, yeah.
I had the same thing with Nashville.
Yeah.
Because Nashville's a communications hub for the whole Southeast.
Right.
And that's where my family's from. So.
Someone hit the red button somewhere, like ground all air traffic.
Yeah.
Like, boom. Like, and people weren't responding, and they were I would imagine they were trying to, circle the wagons at that point.
Yeah, because then it was Bush in Sarasota, Florida.
Which ironically is where the pilots trained, at the local Sarasota airport.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Wow. For
our generation, which what are we, X, millennial?
I think
somewhere in the cusp.
I don't know what we are.
We're children of the 80s.
Yeah, I mean, that was
the 80s.
I mean, for a bunch of kids who grew up with E.T. and Goonies and grunge rock, it really,
life got very real very quick.
It got really crazy in that moment.
Not that we were coddled, but we had a very easy, going through the 80s and 90s, there was the Gulf War. There were things going on, but we never had that feel of
it was like the best of both worlds.
We never felt in danger of anything.
We
were always
got to Iraq in like 12 minutes in the Gulf War.
12 minutes?
Yeah, it was quick. It was like within like 2 days. Like it was fast to get to.
What, in there? Like,
yeah, what was it? The Desert Storm.
Yeah.
Like they did what they did.
That was
Kuwait. We were in there fast.
93?
Oh yeah.
100 hours. I think less than 100 hours it was over.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Desert Storm thing. Remember Norman Schwarzkopf and all that shit.
But why did that happen?
Well, this is where it gets really confusing, because you think about like this one day, right? You think about like September 11th and there was a global trauma that day.
Oh my gosh.
You know, there was.
Well, the world military superpower just got hit by a bunch of goat herders.
Right. But, you know, there's always the question, you know, I was talking to somebody today and Mike will remember this. We went over to that poetry thing and we ended up being there for 4 hours, right?
You guys are reading poetry?
No.
Shall I compare thee to a summer's day?
Yeah. So, you know me, like I like to engage people and talk to them. And, you know, there was a lot of differing points of view there. And, you know, the thing that I think where I really connected was I said, you know, we can all agree on the problems that we have. We can all agree on how to fix them, you know, or that they need to be fixed. If we don't know how we got here, we're never going to figure out how to get there. So in other words, if you don't acknowledge whatever mistakes and successes that you had in the past that got you to here, right. If no one can agree on this on the present moment, then you're never going to agree on the future. So you got to understand the mistakes that were made, because I always thought history class was about, we're going to teach you history because we don't want you to make the same mistakes again that we did, like our generation did, or the generations before us. So you bringing up that question is a really good point, because how did that happen? How did a guy, so they say, have enough, wherewithal, coordination, and access from a group for that to happen and then go, well, we never saw it coming. You know, a lot of the people that we went after were people that we were really, really nice to them a couple years earlier.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Well, bin Laden, right? He fought the Russians, I believe.
From our money.
Yeah, and didn't we give him like a bunch of Stinger missiles?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Charlie
in the
Wilson's
80s,
war.
Right? In the 80s.
Yeah. And then somehow, like, him and all his buddies were like, yeah, we're gonna kick the shit out of them. We're gonna do this. We got America behind us.
And then we abandoned them.
Yeah, and then he lost all his friends.
Yeah.
And
then he was pissed.
Or followers. Or just
6 of one, half dozen the other.
But, yeah, right.
You know? But that's a good question. How did that happen? Dan? I'm just kidding. I knew I was going to catch you off guard, man. No, you're okay. Who are you texting? Tinder?
No.
He's swiping right.
Oh, okay.
He's swiping right.
But how? There's a brief history there of like what one could argue is which is really an interesting parallel to how leaving Afghanistan went to how we got to 9/11.
But while that's going on in the past, right?
Yeah.
The Charlie Wilson's war in that, 90s, I think Clinton pulled out, right?
No, it was the 80s.
The 80s?
The last time Clinton pulled out.
Right. What was going on in Iraq in the 88, 89, 90?
Was that with the Iran thing? Didn't they go into Iran?
Well, that was at one point, but they went into Kuwait.
They went into Kuwait. What's his name went into Kuwait, and I think that's basically
that Reagan, the Iran-Contra thing.
No, that's totally different. That was just selling arms.
Oh, Jesus!
Right, this is Bush, Desert Storm.
Yeah. So,
but why were we there? Right?
We were protecting our ally.
We were protecting our ally,
Kuwait,
our good friend oil.
Yeah.
Our good friend Peak Oil.
Of course.
You know, but were we really? But that's a good question. It's like, you know, upon reflection, right? When you have enough distance in hindsight to really gauge a situation, were we really there to protect our allies, or were we there to protect a commodity?
At the end of the day, even friendly, people that were friendly to the idea of the Gulf War, everything post 9/11 would say, I think we might have sold a little bit of a bill of lies to the people.
I have a theory or a hypothesis.
I love hypotheses because
I love how we're all whispering because we're skirting around conspiracy theories right now and nobody wants to say it.
Hypothesize.
Inner Earth.
88, 89, it's out there. Read about it. There's an oil field, I forget the name, in Iraq, and 2-point-some billion or $1.2 billion worth of oil was magically gone from there.
In 80, it disappeared.
Well, I don't know how it disappeared. I'm not an oil driller, but you don't necessarily have to sit on top of a well anymore and just go, hey, we're going down, straight down. You could be
I drink your milkshake
and drill all the way over that way and just suck it out from underneath them. And then what? He went in there and he got all their gold, right? Mark Wahlberg did that movie, I think.
Which one was that?
Three Kings.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
I forgot about Three Kings.
I haven't watched that one.
And George Clooney.
Yeah, George Clooney.
Yeah.
He was a doctor then, wasn't he?
Well, he was on ER. So
he was a real doctor.
I mean, so all these, and number one, I wanted you to come back because I enjoy you.
Oh, thanks.
And I think
I felt like we had unfinished business.
We absolutely did.
So, after what's happened, like, how are we better? Are we in a better place?
We should be.
Like, in other words,
We're
like 20 years ago today, for tomorrow, for some of us, was one of the most traumatic days of our lives.
It changed everything.
Life changing.
Right.
World altering.
But do you feel safer and more secure? Do you feel better?
Not with the way the things are going right now. Like the people that did that on 9/11, I think we all need to go back to that day and remind ourselves of hearing the certain sounds and of that video and image and sounds behind that. We need to listen to that again and go back in time to feel that. Like when those planes crashed through there was body parts everywhere.
Yeah.
I remember years ago, and I was just watching a show on Nat Geo, and the way they were describing the firefighters, they were setting up a command post in the base of the towers.
Yeah.
And they kept on hearing these boom, big ass
Smacks.
Explosions.
Yeah.
It sounded like an explosion. Like,
Yeah.
what is it? And then it all clicked in their heads, and you saw it like someone was filming.
That was the French guys.
Yeah,
There's two French documentarians. They were the ones who caught the first plane because they were right outside the fire hall.
Yeah, and they followed the
and they
engine
followed the
company.
firemen into there.
Yeah.
Yeah. They were in building 1.
They were hearing all these explosions, right?
Yep.
But it wasn't explosions. It was people that were jumping to their death or falling to their death just because it was either do that. I don't know. I don't even know. It's sickening. On this documentary, they were talking about there's this chef who is going into the cooler. Does anyone know what a chef's cooler is?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like a big walk-in.
Yeah, big walk-in cooler.
Yeah.
You're insulated, can't really hear outside. So this dude went in and he was just stocking the shelves for the day. Comes out 20 minutes later, place is empty. And someone's running through the restaurant. He goes, hey, you can't be back here. And the guy says, you got to come see. And the restaurant was empty. Walks out of the cooler. Some guy startles him, says, you got to come see this. He said, there's body parts everywhere.
Everywhere.
So everywhere. Heads, arms. Like you have to watch it because like the
What is this documentary?
It was on
Nat Geo.
Nat Geo. It was 9/11: A Day in America. It's a 5 or 6 part series, and I don't know. Anytime I'm doubting like what we did there, and I don't know, the fight is not over. For them, the fight isn't over. For our government, the fight might be over. On our government side, but for those people that aided, harbored, and abetted that group that did that, extremists, Islamic extremists in particular, they are still at war with us. And I will never forget what they did. And thank God I watched this in the past week because it just, I don't want to say America forgot, but America needs to remember.
That's kind of like where I'm at, where it's like 20 years later, and it's like to us, it's still visceral.
We're a generation away from it.
Just one generation. That's it.
You know,
we were still talking about Pearl Harbor up until 9/11.
Yeah, I mean,
that was 60 years earlier.
But look at what has happened in the 20 years since then. I think it was John Locke. You know, he made the statement about when your political leaders act out of fear and take away liberty out of fear, they still need to be removed. Fear is not an excuse. You know, and we've seen it over the past year and a half. You know, we saw it from the president, was it yesterday or the day before? You know, out of fear, people are losing the abilities to live their lives the way they want to. You know, the same crowd that for 5 years called the president an authoritarian dictator, the same people that are praising a president who says you have to do this. I mean, it's just, we've lost the plot.
Right.
Out of feet, whether it's, I'm just going to read it. I pulled it up a second ago. And ironically, my son did this for homework when our business was shut down last year. I believe it's a quote by John Locke. Whensoever, therefore, the legislative shall transgress this fundamental rule of society, neither by ambition, fear, folly, or corruption endeavor to grasp themselves or put into the hands of any other an absolute power over the lives, liberties, and states of the people, by the breach of trust, they forfeit the power the people have put in their hands.
Yep.
And now it is, you know, you have the president of the United States saying that he's going to fine businesses if they do not require people to take what is still an experimental vaccine.
His patience is wearing thin. That's the way he spoke to us, the constituency.
American citizens.
Right?
You know, constitutionally protected American citizens.
The Taliban, I doubt he said his patience is wearing thin with them. Let our planes off the ground. Let this happen. He didn't say that. I don't know that he said
He
that.
asked them for permission.
Yeah. But
and gave them a list of...
Yeah. And didn't say, but my patience is wearing thin. He didn't say that. Like, to
yeah,
them.
but
but that's kind of like where I'm getting at, where
it's
it's like,
messed up.
where it's like,
and half the country loves it.
Did we learn nothing? Like, is this date, this thing that we're all going to celebrate tomorrow? Or not celebrate.
Don't celebrate too hard, or else you're on the Department of Justice's terrorist watch list.
So, for the people who aren't, on that list, tomorrow you're going to see a lot of it. Like, never forget.
Yeah.
You know, all that shit. Is that hollow? Is that totally hollow and
not for everybody,
devoid of value?
No,
for a lot of people, or at least the narrative, whatever that is.
I'll tell you what. Yesterday there was a monument being driven into town from the Mohegan Sun Arena in Wilkes-Barre. It's the Remember the Fallen.
That's the one that's at McDavid, everybody's name, right?
Yeah, traveling memorial.
I want to go see that.
It. I'll tell you what. It was a very humbling experience for me to walk through and to see real people my age, our generation, and then I noticed looking at it at the different panels and seeing. I could pick out the Rangers. I could pick them out. They just stood out to me, whether if they were wearing a tambourine or I saw their picture before, and I was taken back by it. And I'm like, there's a lot of people here that I knew. Like, there's 3 people in particular that I went there to at least hang up their banner, and I was able to do that for one of them, Sergeant Stephen Ganchevsky, and I went through all my training with him. He went to a different Ranger battalion, but we were close and we knew each other. And it's just sad that.
But it's still cool that you get to do that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Cool. Yeah.
So but that's the thing. Like so there's a really personal experience for you there, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know. I need all of you to make me feel better about where we're at. Like, who can rub my back or tell me something nice?
As I was saying, so we escorted this awesome memorial through. The streets were lined with people waving flags.
But it was hundreds of motorcycles, wasn't it?
I want to say the number that I heard and the number the news reporter was, there's 100 motorcycles. Well, no, there wasn't. There was more like 400. And then there was probably 100 vehicles on top of that. And the vehicles were packed with people.
But why would they say that it's not as many? It's just the local news. Who gives a shit?
They just got it wrong. That's all. They just saw 100. Like, and maybe missed.
And there was no stops, if I'm not mistaken, right? All the police were coordinated from the Mohegan all the way up to McDade. There was no stoplights, really. I
wouldn't say it was coordinated. There was some townships that were more involved than others because there was intersections that we were going through, and I was near the rear. I think it was the third vehicle from the end because I guess they tried to put like all the bigger trucks like towards the back,
right?
And there was a Scranton police truck that was the very, very last vehicle. But going through these intersections, and like by Ken Pollock Chevrolet up there, it was madness. And people
No free
People were
plugs.
standing over. Some people got out of their cars, covering their hearts. Like it was
moving.
Absolutely. People did not forget.
Does that, I mean, that's kind of like what I'm looking for. That's kind of like the reassurance I'd like.
Yeah, I mean, I think, go ahead, Dan.
Oh, what I see in my head though too, that we've moved away from maybe over the generations is, and maybe it's just this Mayberry brain that I have in my head, that like when something like that would be moving from town to town, like people would be going outside their businesses and like honoring it as it's driving by. And that's something that's kind of been lost amongst communities and everything like that though. Or am I just like living in some like fantasy world where like,
I don't disagree with that.
No, I think you're spot on. I think you got to keep in mind, this is Northeastern PA. This is not Philly.
Yeah.
It's a different, It is a different world, you know, so where we remember, we honor, there's a generation of people that I genuinely feel like they don't care.
so like Clark Summit has a very good Memorial Day parade every year.
Yeah.
People line the streets, people go to the service at the VFW after when they read the names and everything. And like,
Yeah.
So it's there, but it, you know, how, because I don't know, I don't live in these other smaller towns. Is it similar there? You know, that you got to figure every third house is either a veteran or once removed, probably, you know.
I mean, why? I mean,
that's just the area we live in.
Why does it?
I was just going to say, I think sometimes the bigger the city, the far removed it feels, right? Because like you're not closer to the thing, to the incident, or to, you know, to like the thing that happened, right?
Well, that was going to be my question, where it's like, why does it seem like these smaller places, it seems like they seem to get it, and then the bigger places don't really seem to get it. Not to say that they don't get it, but they don't get it in the way that like the more rural, you know, community driven places are. And is that?
Well, I think you just said it, the community driven places.
And it's just because it's the machinations of
it's
like
the culture. You know,
city living.
If I had to guess, I would say it's the culture. I mean, you know, you look at how we live and the people that we're around. It's a culture of community. It's a culture of remembering and honoring people that have sacrificed in the past.
But don't you think the city that got hit the hardest should be like, whoa, we will never forget this.
Newer, faster, better.
But I mean, you look at that city, right? And just break down the demographics, and basically also not just demographics, but backgrounds, like where people are coming from. So that city is probably growing by the day.
But did it almost like recycle itself since then?
I'm kind of thinking it will be along that line, right? Because
like 20 years, the people who were there are gone.
You have new people coming in. A lot of people also are leaving the city to go to the suburbs, right? So you do have that as well. So, and then you only have like the influx of new people coming in. So,
I guess I struggle with the idea, like, you know, in other words, like like we're in Scranton, right? If something happened here that was catastrophic, something that was absolutely terrible, like
I still hear about mine fires.
Yeah, but we're not doing the parades, but. But I mean, like, but everywhere we go, there's historical landmarks. There's all this stuff. There's all these groups. There's always something going on every day to commemorate, remember.
We went to the memorial for Joe Evans, the sheriff that was killed 100 years ago.
Yeah.
To the day yesterday.
Bootleggers. Accidentally.
Well, he was actually killed by the farm owner who thought he was a bootlegger coming to rob him.
What?
Yeah. 100 years ago, September
Only
9th.
sheriff ever in Lackawanna County killed in the line of duty.
Yep. 100 years ago yesterday?
Yesterday.
And his granddaughter was there to receive it. It was beautiful.
It was awesome.
Wow.
But this stuff,
I mean, like, downtown Courthouse Square is just covered in memorials. It's ingrained in our culture.
Which is cool to see, right? Which like it's cool to see, but like sometimes I always ask myself how many people actually go and sit there and
to the ones who matter, it does.
Exactly. So you're gonna get like
people, the ones who it matters to. You know,
that's what I'm like. You're gonna get the people that like, you know, it hit closer home, so they're gonna feel connected to it.
Like I'm not gonna go to the 99 Tons of Bananas Memorial because it really doesn't affect me.
It's a great song, though.
It is.
It's a great song.
It is a great song.
There's a memorial for that?
No, maybe there's a placard.
It's a Krispy Kreme.
That was my grandfather's truck.
Fuck off. Really?
What? Mm-hmm. From that song.
He owned that truck?
My grandfather owned Chomko bananas.
Wait, that song's about your grandfather?
First of all, Chomko Bananas might be the greatest business name ever.
Well, it was Chomko Trucking. He had all the banana rights, if you will, trucking rights.
He was in the banana mob.
Yeah, for the Eastern Seaboard.
I bet you there is one.
Do you know anything about your grandfather's business or anything like that? You know the history?
I know a lot about it, but I mean, not enough to like really go in depth and speak about it. But yeah, it was wild. He owned bananas, banana trucking company, owned planes, a ranch, and then his two sons went to Vietnam, and one came back, and I think they sold all of it while my dad was in Vietnam.
They sold it while your dad was over there?
Yeah, or like they said, like he wasn't old enough, or don't worry, Ed's not coming back. Like, and yeah, I could write a book on that aspect of the.
My grandfather, his business was also trucking. When I told him I was moving to Scranton to go to school,
he's like, they have a banana business up there.
He's like, there's a banana trucking business up there. But no, that's what he told me. He's like, I've driven through Scranton 100 times going to Boston, and
he might have knew my grandfather.
He might have.
So you're in the service. After 9/11 happens, you go into the service.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And and stop me if I'm wrong for any of this, but so you eventually end up in a place that is as foreign as it can get.
Yeah.
For what you're used to.
Yeah. After training and after, I guess, the indoctrination of it all and getting there and finally being overseas, my first deployments were to Iraq, and then my last ones were to Afghanistan. And as I was saying in the first podcast, there's certain things I'm not going to talk about,
right.
But there were things that were in the news looking back at it, and I'm like, holy shit, like I was there. Like the media was looking for what we were currently doing, I guess. And it's just wild. Like we had high value targets and that were coming off the objective. And one of my specific jobs was to be a PSD, a personal security detachment, to groups of people on the objective. Like they wanted to be the first people in there to get eyes on that high value target,
right.
That person that we were going after. My job was to protect them on and off the objective. And
you talking about other members of the military you were
other
protecting?
Members or other Americans.
Not necessarily in the military though.
We don't need to be specific.
He can say no.
Right.
You just did.
We would get
the silence was deafening.
Yeah. He's like, yo, why are you asking me this?
I actually almost got shot by our own people. So I was told once we get these guys back, and we had like these up armored vans. I'm pretty sure they're bulletproof, maybe bomb proof.
Right.
And we would get these high value targets off the objective, and I would drive them around just aimlessly, just because you didn't know where you want them. We
have them. We just don't know what to do.
No. There was a method to the madness. You didn't want them to know where you were going.
Yeah. Oh.
So, in the beginning, it was you put a bag over their head. They can't see. Then, politically correct. Let's get some goggles on them and just spray paint them black, because putting a bag over someone's head is not exactly.
It's not the optics you want out there.
It's not humane.
Right. So then it was goggles. So, it was fun getting these. They were bad dudes. They weren't. There was no question about it. They were enemies of America, and it was fun driving those fuckers around in the back, just going over like whoopties, like just gunning a little van, like and I'm talking like you'd see a boom going right up on the roof. I'd just be laughing like, "You all right?"
And they don't have seatbelts.
No seatbelts. So I was told stay within the wire. Stop for no one, and when you get back, just pull in, get them inside. All right, cool, great. So I do that for maybe 2 months. This one particular deployment, and
wait, when you drop them off, when do you eventually take the goggles off?
I'll get to that.
Oh, okay.
CSI stuff.
No.
But we would drive around, and a few times towards when I got caught, I guess you can say, soldiers or Marines or airmen, whoever they were that were in the towers pulling guard duty, they would see a van coming and just flying like with dust behind it. And they'd be like, wow, stop. And I'd just go, so I would only slow down during this one stretch of road because that's where shops were and just every day, like lots of traffic. But this is in the middle of the night.
Right.
So I would go very slow through there. And that happened, I don't know, dozens of times. Well, this one time, I'm not stopping for these people that are just like, stop, and dodging people. Well, there was this dude, I don't know who he is, and God bless him, because I almost ran him over, with his pistol, pulled his pistol out, pointed it right at our van, and I just slammed on the brakes. Now, I'm in like extremely short shorts, what they would call Ranger shorts, with a kit on and a M4. And I get out of the vehicle. This guy's like, get out of the vehicle. Everyone out. I'm like, sir, you cannot come near this vehicle. He's like, get out of the vehicle. I'm like, you can follow me to wherever you want, but you cannot come near this vehicle. And then my team gets out of the car and there's 3 other dudes that are, you know, they're not
shorts.
They're not there to shake hands,
right,
you know, and be like, oh, hey, like, and I think this man understood it. Turns out it was the command sergeant major of the actual military post that we were on. And he knew
with a pistol.
Like, he was like, I'm going to fucking shoot you. Like pretty much essentially what he was going to do. And, so I'm like, just follow us. And we pull into our little compound and man, I'm sure I had a lot of freaking people writing some new procedures after that, but it was wild. It was wild. I almost got, you know,
the command sergeant major
of a base in Bagram
was going to shoot you.
Yeah. I almost ran him over and I got out of the truck with the shorts on and a kit and rifle. I'm like, sir, you cannot come near this vehicle. And the guys that were guarding us, I'm like, listen, he doesn't have the correct credentials. You can't let him in. So I just drive. They put the gate down and he's out there yelling at those guys. So I'm like, fuck, we got to get this guy out of the car. Like, get him in. I don't know what happened, but I got a talking to and it was, hey, don't be driving like that anymore.
You got in trouble.
Right?
It was good to do it in front of the boss.
Yeah, I never met him before, but I don't know. He never knew my name. He might not.
So it's probably for the best.
Yeah, I think so. I think it was for the best.
How did they know? Like when you get like target or what I don't know what you call
high
them.
Profile target.
Yeah. When like goggled or bagged, like what is that first thing that they see?
They saw my face.
Really?
I was the first person that they would see.
So you get in front of them and you pull the goggles off.
Yeah, after like a short.
How long would you drive them around? Like an hour?
It would depend. It would depend.
And that was just to disorient them so they didn't know where they were.
Yeah, sometimes we took guys up in helicopters. Sometimes we took guys up in airplanes and just drove around. Like I remember being on a C-130 and a C-130 gunship actually.
Yeah.
And we were just flying this dude around just to make him think he wasn't where he was.
Yeah, he thinks he's in Germany.
No,
we only flew 12 miles.
Well, we told him he was going on Guantanamo Bay. So then everyone, we all tried to speak Spanish or our best ability. And
to speak like you're Cuban?
Yeah. Well, once he landed. Well, I remember.
Can we call you Cuban Andy?
Yeah. Sure.
Cuban Andy. All right.
Sí,
senor.
So to me, it's crazy, but in a time of warfare, there are things that you do that you have to do. One can make a poor argument against it. That you have to do to maintain the thing that we have here, right?
Yes.
In the United States.
Yes.
And well, I guess the confusing thing is that why to treat the enemy in a way is one thing, but it seems like they're treating the people where they live the same way now. 20 years after, the global crisis that was 9/11.
There is going to be a mass killing if there wasn't already, and we just don't know about it. I mean, for God's sakes, they took a Black Hawk helicopter and we're just flying a dead body around underneath it.
How does that get explained? I mean, because I guess my question is this. My question is like, considering everything that we've experienced in our lifetime so far, and then what happened over the last it was just 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
You know, it's not even a long time ago.
Yeah.
And it went to even shittier shit after we did our podcast.
Yeah.
And I can't think of anybody who's a reasonable headed critical thinker that was like, if we do this, then this will happen.
Well, I mean, look at what happened.
Unless it's on purpose.
Look what happened last time we left. It emboldened Al-Qaeda, the Taliban, and 9/11 happened. Last time we just pulled out.
We weren't in there. That was just the Afghanis fighting the Russians.
That's what I'm saying. Now we gave them military capabilities.
And those military capabilities were loaded up onto tractor trailers and driven to Tehran.
Yeah. I mean,
and I'm sure
they're driven to Iran.
What's coming next is going to be 9/11 on steroids.
I mean, is that, but I mean, are we at that nexus point? Do you think that like, I don't understand how the Afghanistan withdrawal could happen unless you wanted it to happen this way.
Wait,
does that make sense?
It was so poorly executed that it's the dumbest answer is the most correct answer.
It's like the Occam's razor answer where it's like this is the most obvious thing. But what would be the motivation for that?
Wait,
why would that happen?
I'm just a little confused. Do you guys think we should still be in Afghanistan?
That we should have a presence, yes.
I think we should eliminate evil people off this earth.
I don't think...
Are we going to be able to do that, to eliminate evil people?
We can, but the American public doesn't have the stomach for it.
We have to do it in a terrible way. I think the Afghanistan thing is like, Aja, look, if you're going to leave, if your church is moving, there's a way to do it. This isn't the way to do it. You leave all the equipment behind. No, you leave Americans behind. There's still Americans there right now. There's Americans who can't get out because they're now basically hostages.
China is taking over the military bases.
Is it?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You know what they should do? Hey, our debt's gone. See ya. Bye. Hit the restart button. Let's start building better shit.
So in 20 years, we've actually learned less. I think that's where I'm having the problem.
Could they? I don't know. I don't know much about the military. I don't know what's going on, but could they have a strategy?
You'd like to think.
Could there be such a crazy strategy that by giving these people armaments, it then makes them less likely to deal with Russia, Iran, all these other places possibly?
No, they've already signed their Afghanistan. The Taliban has already signed a trade deal with China.
It literally seems,
and we're gonna find out tomorrow, because I guarantee you they're gonna have parades with American vehicles chanting "Death to America."
Yeah,
in Afghanistan on the 20th anniversary.
Did you see the transitional government was announced? Who is it? The guy he works in the Biden administration. I don't know exactly what his role is mind boggled that there's no women in the transitional government. How
is also 4 out of 5 were the people that we traded for Bo Bergdahl.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he should have been shot right there.
Isn't that insane? How does any reasonable person who's like, hey, if you were thrown into the federal government tomorrow, you'd think that's a bad idea with zero experience?
Because the participation trophy children are now in charge. That's why.
It still doesn't make sense.
It does when you think about the fact that we have raised an entire generation of pussies.
Like coddled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and again, I don't want to harp on it, but I mean, Joe Biden couldn't muster up the energy to get through 13 American coffins coming back off a plane and having the decency to be kind to their families without checking his phone 20 times.
Yeah.
But at the funeral or the meeting of the family of George Floyd, he had no problem keeping his composure.
It's messed up.
I mean, it's all optics. You have a generation, you have a leadership now that they would rather look woke than honor American soldiers.
Now, here's a question.
It's crazy.
Do you think he had a smartwatch on, or was it like...
He's not allowed to have a smartwatch.
Oh, so there's no reason for him to be looking at his
watch.
He's
got a Seiko.
I think he's just a sleepy old man. We had this discussion the other night where I said, basically, all these things that he's doing, he's literally just their puppet. He's just up there for anything. So, like, what if we just took the idea that this is a crazy old man and just kept checking his watch because he was nervous? Maybe he forgot to take a pill.
That's what I was going to say. I gotta take my
and just became this nervous tick that he just kept doing and doing because he's sometimes he's just not there.
There's no excuse though. He shouldn't have.
I mean, I think that's the thing that I wrap my head around with, where it's like if if obviously he isn't the adult in the room, what's happening to the adults in the room?
Well, who is the adult in the room?
Or plural, I don't know. It just seems to me that like anyone who cares about their family, their fucking country, over the last 3 weeks, I don't care what side of the argument you're on, something seems crazy. Well, something seems really out of whack.
Do you think he doesn't care about the military?
Who?
Joe Biden?
I think he looks at them. I think he looks at them as some CEO looks at the maintenance department.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
His kid fought in the army,
and his other kid is a drug addict and lost 3 laptops with sensitive information on it that we don't hear about.
I don't know what his son's MOS was. MOS would be their job description.
Bo?
He was in the Air Force, wasn't he?
I don't know.
I mean, I know he was like a military lawyer.
Do you really think the senator's son is going to get put into harm's way?
I don't know.
What's his name? Prince Harry was an attack helicopter, dude.
Yeah, that was badass.
But they didn't let him. They let him go off to Afghanistan for a very short amount of time, and then he was brought right back. And he was actually pretty pissed about it.
I thought he served for a while.
He did.
He served for a while.
No, but as soon as his unit was going to see action, yanked back. Yeah. Which I will say, he wanted to serve. He was the real deal.
Yeah.
He wasn't just there for the medals and this is what the family does and the royal family. He struck me as the real deal. He really wanted to serve. He was willing to go and die with his teammates.
And that's not to say that anyone who is the daughter or son of any elected official is not brave or whatever. But if you're the commanding officer that puts, the 30-year senator's son in harm's way and he dies, you're in big trouble.
That's where the politicization of the military came in. Like there was massive resignations and less promotions under previous administrations, and now this administration is reaping the benefits of that. They put their people in place years ago, and it's almost like a yes man mentality,
which in any organization
is terrible.
It's bad, but in the military, you're going to get people killed.
There's one Marine officer that spoke out.
I saw him,
and he lost his job over it. He lost his command. And he said someone needs to be held accountable. There was not one firing. No. There was not one resignation. That is a serious issue. I mean, come out and say that we planned this, or just come out and say it. Say this, we're it. You're looking at it. Vote differently, because that's what it's coming down to. I don't even want to say where there's a lot of people talking about a lot of things that I'm talking about. Congressmen are talking about. They're using words that a congressman shouldn't be using.
What do you mean?
Well, for instance, years ago, Congress people were saying, if they're down, you kick them, right? Yeah. They use words like fight, and this is a war. Words have meanings. Words have consequences. That was the beginning of it. And now I read an article today. There's the word of a revolt.
In the military?
From a congressman.
In the country?
In our country.
Yeah.
And it's more than one.
Do you think we're headed for civil war?
I don't know.
I don't think so.
It's not pretty. But that's the point of this. It's like after 20 fucking years, like we're here. Yeah. This is after 9/11, we're here.
Yeah.
And everybody wants to tomorrow. Never forget, always remember. Like, what the fuck? I think that's what my point. It's like we could argue the minutia of corrupt people and what they're doing, right? And if we hear senators and congressmen or representatives talking revolution and shit like that, I don't see a scenario where that ends well for anybody.
Absolutely not. And so some politicians, there is a, I don't know if it's a majority. It may be a majority of politicians that there's a playbook that they're reading off of, and the American public don't know it. They're being told what to do from somewhere. They're too well coordinated, in my opinion.
And you have experience with coordination. You've seen the enemy do it.
Yeah. Chechens, that's Chechens, they're coordinated. Taliban, they're coordinated, but I mean, there's differences. You can tell the difference from talking to them, fighting against them. I mean, or defending against them. or just reading about them. There was a local politician that told me in the beginning of this, prior to COVID, I said, "What is the state's plan for when all hell breaks loose?" So
because of the Trump shit.
No, this was before that. I want to say 2 years before Trump was in office. And he goes, "What do you mean?" I said, "Dude, people are done. People are done with this. With whatever you guys are doing, they're done with it. And now that
like their politics, like their bullshit.
I think using the citizens as pawns.
Yeah, I mean, it's no longer about what we can do for our people. It's no longer, hey, how can I help Scranton, and not pander to like the everyday property owner, taxpayer, the people that actually do give them their salary, or at least give into their salary. And there were certain things that I've had conversations with people, and I'm like, they don't get it. Like they truly do not understand that they're there for the people. And we brought home a World War II soldier. And I remember talking to this particular politician afterwards.
Like the remains you brought home?
Yeah.
Okay.
There was nothing left. It was they finally identified him, and they brought him home. And I was lucky enough to be a part of this.
Yeah.
And I said, there's gonna be something going on here, man. I said, you need to be on the right side of this. And he goes, "Why don't you start it?" Right? Like, I'm like me? Like, what do you mean me? Like, and that's their mentality. Like, I don't think they understand where this is. Like, politicians are going. They're not representing us. They're not representing me. Is it anyone here feel represented?
I mean,
raise your hands. Raise your hands.
I spent a year and a half begging politicians to help business owners that were dying on the vine. Not their job. It's their job to do whatever they need to do so that they get that next paycheck, that next grant, that next whatever.
Are you mad that we're mad?
No. Like, just interest is like, hearing everything and trying to.
You think that politicians are basically good?
No.
No, just because he didn't talk doesn't mean we should assume that maybe I just I kind of agree.
No. No, I was just thinking about everything, and I was like, even comparing it to some of the African countries and how, they do politics as well, or governance. It's basically the same. And it's like history repeating itself. For me, I strongly believe, first, America has to understand that its standing and stature in this world is shifting. And I think that is what we are failing to understand as people, but specifically politicians. Because if they could understand that, they could grasp that, it could help them shape the policies, right, that they come up with. And I think that's what people are not understanding. And then we also have to understand that, yes, I mean, I get that, sometimes you just want to be your own community and everything. But the world is now global. It's become almost like one, right?
Close.
Yeah.
But we need to eliminate evil. I'll stand by that.
Yeah, I mean, but evil, I'll get.
Can you play the American fucking?
Yeah. But I'll get to that, right? So now things are changing. If you were a business person, right, and which all of us are, you start looking at your environment. You start looking at your market and you see changes, and then what do? You pivot, and you start putting strategies in place to help you succeed, right? And I think that our politicians are not getting it. They're not understanding that, and things are just shifting, and I think they are more selfish. I think a lot of them are in this for their own gain. Right. They just want to be in politics or whatever for a long time. Most of them get news on the stock market before everybody does. They play it, things like that. Their investment portfolios is crazy. You know what I'm saying? Why? Information that they get to be able to do these things, you and I don't get that information.
Correct. Yeah.
Right. So they are in that thing to just basically benefit themselves and their families, and that's it.
You said something about if it was a corporation, you'd be looking about what the market is doing and blah, blah, blah. Right.
Yeah.
So do you believe in a thing? I believe the term is corporate culture. I mean, is that a corporate culture? Is that per business? It's like, here's our mission statement. Here's the things that we do. It's almost like the moral compass of the business. Is that a thing?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
It's everything.
So if
it's literally everything.
So I know that United States of America Inc. Is at the end of the day, it has to have an economic machine. It has to have partners outside of here, right? But it seems that we're willing to get as much money as we can and violate all of the core things that we stood for in our corporation. Is that a fair assessment?
As much money as we can for who?
That's a good question. It's not for the workers.
Yeah, didn't Bezos just donate $100 million to what's his name from Big Tall Black Bald Man?
Charles Barkley.
Michael Jordan?
No, yeah, Michael Jordan. No, the guy who's on Van Jones.
Oh, no. Yeah.
$100 million to...
was it $100 million?
I believe it was.
I think Van Jones was one of them. There was
Jamie?
other people. There was two other people, and it was to do with what you will.
The guy on CNN, Van Jones?
Yeah.
How do you go from a TV personality to $100 million for the richest guy in the world?
Like, what was he supposed to use it for?
I don't know, to donate it to however he wishes.
Yeah.
Really? I mean, I don't know.
I mean, you'd like to think.
I mean,
like,
it seems like that's a buy-off.
Van Jones is
Doesn't
just like
it really
very
seem that way?
sentimental. He cries all the time.
Could
and stuff. So.
I know nothing.
It just like, these are the things that we're doing. I'm trying to my whole question this whole time is like, are we better than we were in September 10th, 2001?
I don't think so.
No.
Listen, I used to love traveling. Now I hate it. Why? Because I have to take off my clothes and everything. So like when I'm, I mean, you know what I mean.
I've never had to take off my clothes.
Yeah. Which airport's this?
You know, like, you know what I mean. Like, so
no,
now,
we don't. Asha.
No.
Please explain.
Here we go. Let's go, Asha. What do you got this week?
Are you on like a do not? Are you looking like a do not fly?
Do they make you squat and cough?
Shut up.
I did that to a jihadi.
Wait, did you really?
Yeah, stripped down.
What fell out?
I did find a piece of paper once, but I handed it off to somebody else. I don't know what the fuck.
Wait, you found an Iraqi ass map?
Yeah, right. No, but
From like
it wasn't necessarily.
He's got a map up his ass.
It wasn't necessarily in his ass, but no, you find things and you're like, here you go. Like, I don't know, you hand it off to somebody else, but that was one of the things. Like, hey, they're stripping. Like, you need to strip them down to nothing. Prison guards have to do it. Sheriffs have to do it. You know, it's the same.
It's not really like a gross thing because that's what they do here, stateside. You know, that's
I would imagine. So. I never had any experience in it. They're like, hey,
it's gross.
I got trained on it, and it was weird, man.
It's gross.
Well, nobody wants to look at buttholes.
Except for Michael Jackson.
And cough.
There's a whole side of Reddit that you haven't seen, I guess.
Yeah. No, honestly, to go back to your question, Marky, like, are we better off?
I thought like after 9/11 there was this unity
September
patriotism.
12th, the Boston Red Sox came out in I Heart New York hats.
Yeah, I mean,
like,
you've never.
And then they won a World Series.
Yeah.
They had to get rid of their bitterness, and that's why they won.
Let a little Jesus in their hearts.
Yeah, but I don't. Why is it so hard for me to wrap around? Like, I feel like I'm a better person. I feel like I'm.
You're a better person.
But it feels. Am I
culture?
But are we being fed that, or is that real?
No, we need to feed other people. We need to feed the red pill or the blue pill, baby. It's like the Matrix. You gotta offer the truth.
So they say,
and the truth looks a little ugly.
They say that red pill blue thing is a conspiracy theory. Do you think that's? I think.
Is it really?
I think everybody needs to get red pilled. I think everybody needs to get.
Everyone
red
should watch the Matrix. We're probably living in it.
I wouldn't doubt it.
Michio Kaku said that. He goes, "This is probably a simulation."
Probably.
Well, yeah, we're surrounded by
that can disprove it.
Olive gardens and fluorescent signs from tanning salons. What do you think this is? This isn't normal.
They were the easiest Minecraft pre-built things that they could do.
This is not a normal existence. This is not normal humanity.
And
we do nothing but eat processed foods and brush our teeth with fluoride. What is happening?
Fucking up your pineal gland. Aja, are you like out of it?
No.
All right. I didn't know if you were checking your tweeter.
He's just having flashbacks to those strip searches.
Oh
no.
Again?
Yeah. He had to go there. He had to go there.
So like I don't know. so if you think of like liberal and conservative, right? They've meant a thing over a long period of time, and it seems that the idea of that has been either bastardized or corrupted, or it doesn't mean what it used to mean. There's no integrity.
Yeah.
And that's both sides. And I think, I part of my concern is like what happened yesterday with those 6 steps from the Biden administration that are very authoritarian in design and terrifying. Is this transcending the outrage? Is it transcending political party?
I think so, or it's about to. I mean, otherwise.
Well, you're a registered Democrat, right?
I am a registered Democrat.
Does that bother you? Those. It seems like those things that because Kamala Harris yesterday afternoon was my body, my choice on abortion,
right?
And then at 5 o'clock, Joe Biden's like, what was his quote? We're getting.
My
patience is wearing thin.
Yes.
Yeah. This isn't about freedom anymore. This is about doing what you're told.
I can't believe an American president said that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's a major.
Well, I always use the illustration of it's like a pendulum. So over here on my right, your left, you have conservative or far right, or what would traditionally be thought of as
less government.
Far right would be like authoritarianism.
Far right?
Mm-hmm. Typically, it's, conservative government control in a way. I'm not talking about Republican or
I think Republican's different than conservative.
I'm saying far right would be extreme control, whereas far left would be total freedom. This absence of rules, classic liberalism versus classic conservatism, right. Not necessarily Republican versus Democrat. Kind of the philosophical way of thinking of it. It's like a pendulum. And I always used to call myself a liberal because I believe that we should be able to do whatever we want with our lives.
Right.
The government can't tell us how to live our lives. There's guardrails on the highway, but for the most part,
if I want to Dutch oven my wife, I should be able to do that.
Sure.
Within your lane.
Yeah. Yeah. Stay in your lane. Stay in your lane. But it's almost like on this pendulum of where the country has gone, it seemed like it started to swing further both directions. I mean, you just
more violently.
Yeah,
the pendulum started to swing harder.
It was always kind of like a little bit more to the right, a little bit more to the left. You go all the way back to the founding fathers. It was kind of an agrarian leadership style versus an urban. You have your Hamiltons and your Jeffersons. There was always the back and forth.
Even in a more recent time, if you think back to the 90s with when NWA was coming around and everything like that, there was the what was it, the parent council?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Tipper Gore and everything coming out and squashing down speech and everything like that. It was coming from that side.
And it was right and left.
Why did we realize it then?
But it was but it was so subtle because it was.
When they tried to shut up Eazy-E, we were like, whoa.
I know. Because it was done in the name of fear. If you let your kids listen to this, your kids are going to turn out to be monsters.
Yeah.
Mortal Kombat and
it's
all that
what
stuff.
happened in the 70s. It was, these hippies, Charles Manson, it's like all this craziness.
But is there some truth? Is there some truth to that?
Well, I mean,
totally,
yeah. But I think if you look at the back and forth, it went from, Reagan, Bush, Clinton, Bush, and then it was Obama.
Almost
Trump,
Clinton.
Biden.
Clinton.
It goes back and forth. And that's just kind of how it goes. We're sick of this craziness. We're going to go the other way. We're sick of this craziness. We're going to go the other way. And it always became a little bit more extreme every time it went back and forth. And then all of a sudden, 4 years of Trump, everybody's losing their minds over, and rightfully so, because the guy was crazy on so many things. But,
he should have had a mute button.
Yeah.
That's about it. That's basically the criticism.
Yeah.
But I mean, so it goes over here. Okay. And everybody's accusing him of being this far right authoritarian. No, he was just said some dumb shit. But then it flips back the other way as a response to Trump. And it's almost like it flipped so far to the left that it flung itself around and became the far right.
It was the kid who went over the swing.
Yeah,
Inside Out Boy.
It went so far. It
Inside
came
Out Boy.
But now you have the same people that are, my body, my choice. Yeah, but you take that vaccine.
Yeah.
Like, what has happened? The people that used to be the peace, love, and hippie chicks and all this, They're now the people that are like, do what I say. Say he, her, she, them, they.
I don't agree with.
It's crazy.
I don't agree with the characterization like that. The hippie chicks. I think the two groups that have.
I was just trying to think of like nice, peaceful people.
I understand what you're saying.
The hippie chicks now own guns.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
You were gonna say?
There was a lot, but now I don't know. Going to what you're saying. For me, I just think it's just a handful. It's not a whole lot. And I'll go back to what I said a couple of weeks ago or even last week. I think majority of people in the world are in the middle. Majority of people are in the middle.
I don't disagree with that.
I agree. Only a handful are either far right or far left. So yeah, there might be some things that they're doing and it might seem a certain way. And then you get that fraction, that far left, fraction that takes it all the way to the other side, or you get that far left, right, that do not agree with what is happening to take it all to that, like all the way to the other side. So for me, honestly, I look at stuff and I'm like, oh, okay. So he said that. Does it make sense? Nope. I don't care. I back on my business, doing my thing, right? I live in the middle. I see myself a little bit more. I mean, like everybody that knows will tell you, like, because I'm a Christian, I'm a little bit more center right than I am center left, because there's a lot of things that I believe, because like most of my principles are like, Christian governed. So I'm very more like center right than I am center left. But I like a lot of people that I talk to all fall within that same, either a little bit center left, a little bit center right, or in the middle.
You don't know a lot of Scrantonians. There's so many people. Like, there's people that won't even frickin' associate themselves with me now because
with you.
Yes. I don't know why. Because I ran as a Democrat and they thought I was a Republican. They're that far brainwashed with.
Wait, the Republicans are ostracizing you?
No, Democrats.
Really?
Yeah, because who was this one man? This one man who works for Senator Casey's office.
Explain this real quick. How you ran as a Democrat, Republican?
Well, I ran as a Democrat. I lost.
But you won the Republican write-in.
Yeah, I won on the Republican write-in. So I was still alive for the next round of elections.
For the general.
Right. And I didn't back. I thought that would be shitty of me to stop. I believed in my views. I still believe in my views. And
but enough Republicans liked you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And
and you governed for them too.
And I still had roughly about the same number of votes in there. But there was a group of West Siders who I would have thought were my friends, and someone who I specifically asked. I asked them. I said, on a phone call, could you help me in your neighborhood? Could you go around and show me your neighbors, introduce me to your neighbors? I gave their family like 15-yard sign, whatever. And yeah, absolutely. I'll go out there. I'll do that for you. And then a couple weeks later, someone called me and said, "Hey, did you know so-and-so was like telling people not to vote for you?" I'm like, "What?"
Because you're running as a Republican in the general.
Yeah.
Registered Democrat. Yeah. Registered Democrat. He's a registered Democrat.
Yeah.
Andy, I don't want to treat this like a therapy session, but the Democrats suck.
Yeah, I am.
Well, now, when you were talking before, right? And you were talking about
you can yellow card us anytime we're out of control.
Or red.
Yeah, I'm on. You guys are towing a line here, but
if he's wearing sunglasses,
we're towing the line.
I'll let it play.
Okay.
So I think
play on.
Do you remember when the Tea Party first came out and everyone lost their minds?
Yeah.
Okay. The Tea Party ended up turning into something called the Freedom Caucus. Okay. Yeah. They're in the Republican Party, right? They're like the Liberty people. You know, we know who they are. It seems to me that in the mirror image of that, whatever the liberal side idea of that is, it's like the Tea Party just took charge.
Yeah.
It's the opposite.
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
The Occupy Wall Street group, right? So you had the Tea Party.
I think that's 10 years ago, and it's too far distant for people to understand.
You might have nailed that down.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever the Democrat version of the Tea Party is in charge.
Yeah, whatever the radical view.
So that was the Occupy Wall Street, whatever. That's
because Occupy Wall Street was
definite component.
That was kind of a response to the whole Tea Party idea.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. So that it just goes back. You have a fraction. It's just a small. I think strongly believe that majority of us here are either a little bit center left or center right.
Sure.
Yeah, but you were saying how there's a handful of people that are, extreme left, extreme right. I don't know. If you look back to
your friend, are they extreme?
I don't know. I stopped talking to them about a lot of politics and my.
But I mean, for them to say
that,
for them to say don't vote for you, is that a symptom of the general Democrat Party, or is that a symptom of like, oh, he's a little left of left?
I have no idea. All I know is that it all came. My thoughts on it is that, as I said, it's being trickled down. Someone's saying this is who you need to support.
It's like telephone.
I would imagine so. But as I was saying, like this person that works for Senator Casey's office wrote things about me that were untrue, and on social media, which is whatever. I don't care. Like whatever. But
they do work in the senator's office.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Scranton, to be specific, he said Scranton doesn't need people like Andy Chomko. That's what he said.
And they work in the senator's office.
And that's what
they should be abstained from having public opinions of anything.
So I saw him a few weeks ago, and I said I went up to him, and it was at a bar. Me and my wife, we just got there. We had a nice night out. We had a babysitter, so we called up an Uber.
Ooh.
Called up an Uber. Set up a quick reservation.
Yeah.
And we went out. We went out in the town.
Andy's on a date night.
We went to like Bar Pazzo, and then we went up to Haggerty's, and we're sitting there for a little bit. And I see this guy walk in. I go, "You got to be fucking kidding me!" And Bridget goes, "What?" And then she looked in the mirror and she goes, "Oh my God!" And she just turned around because she knew it was coming.
Yeah,
she knew. Like there's a list of people. There's one more person I got to get. Right.
Oh, I love
it. But okay. So I'm like, holy fuck. I'm like, that was so-and-so. And I asked this other guy who I knew him, like, was that
such and such?
Yeah. Was that who I think it was? He goes, yeah. I go, fucking A. Talk to Mikey. Mikey, give me whiskey. Boom. Down a shot. This guy comes back. He's ordering his drink. I don't even think he knew I was there.
Right.
And I was just standing behind him.
That's how tuned in he is to have an opinion about someone.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I was just standing behind him. He turned around. I said, let's just call him John.
Yeah.
What's his real name?
You go, hey, John.
Mike Doe. Mike? No, don't do this. Don't do this.
You
don't
do this.
Let's just run down all the local politicians,
pro
or con.
No, don't do this.
So
John Doe, D-O-U-G-H.
Yeah, John Doe.
Yeah.
So John Doe turns around, and I'm like, hi, you're John Doe. He goes, yeah. I'm going to put my hand up. My name's Andy Chomko. I believe you have very strong opinions about me. And like you could just see,
Would you shit?
I would. Right on the floor, just full evacuation.
And like you saw, like the fluid drain from his face. He was drinking a mixed drink, and he was stirring it. And as he was stirring, like you could tell, he was just getting faster and faster. And I'm like, did we ever have a conversation? Like, did we? I think he was a year or two younger than me in high school. Never spoke to him in my life.
Right.
And even if I did like speak to him, it was nothing but pleasant. Like I don't remember ever doing anything terrible.
You didn't shit in a fucking toilet and put his head in it.
No, yeah. I was never that guy anyway. But this, and I'm like, so you wrote on social media about me? Well, that's what he said. I said, we never had a conversation. You wrote that and you swayed people from voting for me. I said, that's fucked up, man. I'm like, you don't even know my policies. You don't even, not even policies. You don't even know my view on anything. I said, I didn't talk to you about politics, religion, where I stand on a lot of things. I said, you just went out there and wrote that about me in the middle of an election. And he really didn't have anything to say.
He has the right to. So
then I asked him, I said, where do you work again? And I already knew where he worked. He said, I work in Senator Casey's office. I said, yeah, down in D.C., right? He goes, yeah. I said, well, you can tell Bob that he's never going to fill his old man's shoes. And he goes, well, I think he is going to, and he will. I said, okay, go fuck yourself. Get away from me. And this wasn't like the bar was silent. Like everyone saw it. Everyone heard it. And he wouldn't go. I'm like, you can go now. And then this other dude came over. He goes, I never seen someone get a verbal beating like that in public before. Like he was stirring his drink and he wound up being like cockeyed. Like, wah.
Well, and there's this weird bravery. It's like, but at the end of the day, you should.
The world became a worse place when less people were getting slapped in the mouth.
Yeah.
And we're not supposed to know what everybody thinks.
But getting back to like 20 years ago, think about this. 20 years ago, the technology like the world is better, like technologically. Like we're able to communicate.
I actually found audio of Andy going up to the door.
Going up to what door?
Und Magnolia-Fan, Kommentare auf poopshoot.com.
Found it in French or whatever?
Hast du auch geschrieben?
It sounds like a German porno. Why would you put that on there?
What was that?
I figure copyright that way.
I was waiting for a shiza. I never got it to
What
happen.
is that? What clip was that?
It was Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back.
Oh.
So
But 20 years ago, we didn't have the technology, and you said how it changed. Like yeah, we're better that way, but
are we better? Are we better?
we should be with communication. There's a show.
Everybody's a telephone tough guy now. Everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, every fat chick's
That
got an
telephone-
OnlyFans account.
that
The
telephone-
world's not a better place.
How you gonna get better when people don't have communication? So
How did we
That
survive
Joe-
for thousands of years?
I mean, we talk like
unbelievable.
in the community. We talk to each other, right? In the
There was no
community,
cell
they had-
phones in 1998.
Yeah, but
or
you,
1988.
but you still hung out with people. You still went in the community. You talked to
this
people.
thing has made us stop talking to people.
That's
I
what.
agree.
So that's what
Yeah.
I was gonna say. That's what I was gonna say. So like the guy
The
that
telephone.
Joe Doe or John Doe, whatever.
Doe's even funnier.
Joe Doe.
Yeah, it's
Joe
like a
Doe.
backwards dojo. Joe Doe.
Or yeah,
That's a
you know,
T-shirt, Dan.
Yeah, he I mean, obviously he wrote about you because maybe he was in the camp for, I don't know whose camp he was in, whatever, that was going against you. So he probably did. But if he knew you, right, he had a conversation with you, he knew you, you guys spoke, he probably wouldn't write that about you, right? And I think that is the problem we are.
Or at least did he respect it? If he wrote something, he's like, yeah, I talked to him.
Yeah,
If he thinks that
that's
way,
what I'm
fine.
saying. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, and I think that's the problem that like all of us are in right now. You know, people just get up and take pen, paper. Not, I mean, nobody writes pen, paper anymore, but like
Dan
computers
has a
or whatever.
pencil in his pocket.
He's got an iPad with the thing, stylus or whatever that thing is, and you just type. You could just sit here and write about somebody in
Nigeria.
exactly, and
Yeah.
you don't even know the person, right? And like I think about that, and I'm like, why do we do that?
Because
Like, don't you want to at least even pick the phone? Like, okay, so now we have the technology. Can't you pick up a phone or send an email and say, hey, listen, I want to see this crap about you. Honestly, I really want to, but I want to hear your side first.
There's no consequences.
Right.
There are zero consequences except for people who are on a different political viewpoint.
And that is what bothers me because we don't talk to each other anymore. We don't talk to each
That's why
other
we're here.
anymore, right? And like I always say, like, you know, people, if you let people know that they matter and that they are loved, it just makes everything slightly better. I'm not saying better, but it
the
makes
person-
everything
but
slightly
the other
better.
person has to be accepting of that love. You know,
Yeah.
I could Care Bear stare all day, but if nobody's going to be receiving
He
of
could
it,
shoot love out of his chest all day long.
but I think majority of people feel it. Like when you're genuine, right? Majority of people feel it.
But-
They know.
but how- you know-
Relationship changes everything.
Yeah.
but you can't be genuine on Facebook
No.
or Instagram.
Yeah, you can.
Not to the degree that it's effective.
But get out. So get out of Facebook.
I
get out
believe
of
in
whatever.
This. I do
a
this. I do that.
have a conversation. Go have a conversation. Like I'm not saying that he can't run against you or whoever he was supporting or rooting for can't run against you. They can certainly do that, but have a conversation. Go talk.
Well, that's because he's somebody who puts party above community.
yeah, anything else?
But you can't do. Okay, so in Afghanistan, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure you got to understand how the culture worked.
Well, to an extent.
I mean,
don't
enough
know.
to be like, I get that.
Well, I get that it's so corrupt, man.
Okay, so it's
they had
like
this-
here.
You know, it's way worse. They have like outside of some of the bigger Afghanistan bases, they would have like a little bazaar or a flea market, and you can go out there. You could get like Persian rugs. You can get I don't know, relics of wars past, like weird stuff. Bootleg DVDs was a big thing.
Right.
You can haggle these motherfuckers to, I don't know. Habib would do anything to just get a buck.
Yeah.
You know, like it's so corrupt. I don't know how to describe it. Like they would trade a gallon of gasoline for something that is worth a ton of money because they needed the gasoline. They didn't need the gold watch or like.
So there's no value. There's no they don't know the value. So
I don't.
I think they do. I mean, because I kind of get it. It's like going to like a third world country, right? It's like going to like some African country.
It's also the perceived value of the object, though.
That's true.
Right.
To them, that watch is worthless. Like
that's
you're
true.
saying,
Micah buys
that's why.
big dogs that are sculptures.
Oh yeah, I do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
For like $1,000. I don't understand it, but he has the right to
It's
do
actually $1,800.
It's twice as much as I ever expected. That's insane.
Like the one that Joey bought Chandler.
But better.
Wait,
Yes.
what are you talking about?
Micah buys big dogs. Jesus. Wow.
Chandler
I hate
Bing.
you. I hate everything about
Did
you.
I just get kicked into Brooklyn?
Yeah.
What the fuck
Yeah,
was
you
that?
just Jersey shorted
or
over here.
the Long Island? I got kicked in the Long
Well, no, I
Island.
mean, but like it's all
Well,
relative.
he's going to say I wanted to hear
No,
what you said. Yeah.
you were gonna ask a question.
Oh, so when he was saying about like picking a party, I don't know if you guys are fucking with me, but I don't care. So
we need an adult.
So if that person might have wrote something because they're party, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter as long as you're the other side, you're the enemy, right? Being that you were in Afghanistan and you had missions there and you know people that are familiar with the culture and everything, is tribalism detrimental or is it helpful? Because it seems like there's these tribes in the United States, right? And it doesn't matter whether the guy across the street from you is your neighbor and your kids play ball together and you have him over for dinner. Once you find out he's in the other tribe, I don't like that guy as much. Like that's it. So seeing tribes and how it coalesces over there. I mean that's they would pit tribes against each other. They would tattle on them. They would do all this shit.
I guess on their end it's survival, and I would assume here it's somewhat survival, or now I wouldn't say survival of the fittest, because just because you have money doesn't mean that like you're a great person or anything like that. But
Right.
I think it says it in our Declaration of Independence. When everyone goes after the same object, and that's what they're going after. These people are chasing money. They like the politicians.
Above everything else.
I don't know what else could it be.
Power.
Power,
Money.
Well,
That's all.
they're synonymous. I
Yeah.
think those
Yeah.
two things are synonymous. Don't you agree?
That's what I
Did Dan
said.
have a stroke?
This desk is falling apart over here. I mean, I've done nothing.
I should have brought some paperwork from the funeral home so everyone can just fill out their prearrangements with me before I leave here.
Well, I'll do that.
Whose?
All of ours.
Oh, yeah, I don't want to do that.
Why? You don't want to plan your funeral?
No.
I think about it quite a bit, actually. Probably more than a normal, well-adjusted human
It's
should.
not going to be my problem because I'm going to be dead.
So
I'm going to have a clown. I'm going to have bagpipes. I'm planning this whole thing out.
Can we go? I want to go
gonna
through.
be
I want to
epic.
go through this document that you brought.
I'm more confused.
That's okay.
No,
all are.
about the funeral stuff. Because sometimes I'm like, man, do I when I die?
I want
Should
fireworks.
Should they take me to Ghana or just leave me here?
I think we
in
should take you to
Scranton?
Norway, put you in a bow of wood, and fire a flame arrow at you.
I want to be burned on a Viking boat. Can you make this happen at Chomko Funeral Home?
Crazy.
He's got a pool.
we can drink around it and we could do it that way.
I'm all right with that.
Awesome.
I forget what
Dreams do come true.
There was a state that was just trying to get that passed. I don't know. It wasn't Pennsylvania though. I don't think we have. That'd just be not
Guys, I
good for
gotta
the
leave
lakes.
soon. All right. I know you're all
Let's just
really
do this
sad.
I want to go through this real quick. What do you got? Soccer practice?
Yeah, man. I got to go coach. I got to go mold young minds.
Wait.
So last
you
time,
coach? Where you coach at?
Today, Lackawanna College.
But tomorrow, maybe not.
Tomorrow, Scranton High School. And then
So-
back to Lackawanna
so
College.
what do you coach?
I coach at Scranton High School and Lackawanna College.
What?
Soccer.
Soccer. Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Which is why I think Dan showed up in a full soccer referee's uniform. Why are you wearing this? We never actually got a real answer.
Did you think that we were
Because
going to fight?
I told you on the radio, I heard that football season is back, and I'm so excited that I put on my favorite football gear.
Are you seriously
Oh.
wearing that as a joke?
Thank you. That's it. That's your second one. That's your second one. You're out here.
I thought you were actually refereeing a game today. You just are wearing it for fun?
Yeah.
man. That's his fucking. That's his,
and he has a yellow and red card.
that's his Nightmare Before Christmas outfit, man.
He's coming with you.
He has a yellow and a red card too.
Well,
he
ironically
carded
enough, I'll take the red card because I do have to go.
All right, get out of here, man. I want to get through this.
All right, buddy. Y'all have fun. Andy, good to see you again.
It's good seeing you.
Mr. Aja,
Yo,
good to see you, buddy.
are you coming to church this Sunday?
We'll try.
What's that?
Come on, come to church this
I'll be
Sunday.
sleeping in and
With-
trying to convince my wife to have sex with me.
No, come to church this Sunday, man. Come see the
She has to
the
convince
Beauty
you.
the Beauty and the Beast thing that we did.
Are you in the Beauty and the Beast thing? Are you the...
No,
You're not in
I'll
it,
be
Belle?
around.
Are you
I'll be
Belle?
around. Yeah, I'm Belle.
Are you walking around? Are you walking around with like fucking ears and shit?
Nah, I don't have anything on.
Hey, buddy. Last time Andy was here, and I kind of wanted to clarify this, the Sharia law thing. There is a lot of whether anybody wants to admit it or not, there's a lot of people who are getting brought from Afghanistan and brought here, and I don't know if anybody saw the news about these weird daughter wife things.
I didn't see that.
Indentured. Yeah, some of the people who snuck on had the child brides.
Yeah, there's going to be big problems with that.
Yeah.
And that's an immigration issue, I guess, right? But also we need to look at the immigration issue. If you're going to talk about immigration in Mexico or countries south of America, it is acceptable to marry 12, 13, 14-year-old girls.
And Afghanistan too.
Even younger. It's wild. There's certain parts of Sharia that you can have up to 4 wives, right? And there's a whole list.
So our big confusion last time was what it actually meant, and we thought there was layers to it. Didn't you say it was different places, different set of guidelines, different?
Yeah, I mean, I think I said it was more like instant justice type of thing, but like every region sort of had
some of it.
Like,
some of it is.
And a lot of this I don't understand. So I'm just kind of trying to get an understanding of. So okay, so what did you bring?
Well, I started looking up some things that I haven't looked up in a while. I tried to. So the first year when I came home from the military, I didn't do anything besides try to figure out what I wanted to do in my life.
Right.
I knew that I saw some terrible, horrifying, and awesome things all in a short amount of time. And I got a lot of experience. And I dove in for a year just going down the rabbit hole.
Just like trying to understand what it all was. And
trying to figure it out. That's right. I learned about 1988 and Saddam's oil getting stolen.
Right.
And after what happened in Egypt, Syria, Lebanon, and I'm trying to decipher like where the hell is this going?
Right.
And to me, it's a religious thing. Like these guys, they do not like us. Even 5% of over 1 billion is a large number. We're talking 50 million people, right? I'm not a math major, but I think 5% of 1 billion is 50 million.
Yeah.
The accountant?
Yeah, it is.
Dan?
Right? That's a large number. That's a large number of people to hate us, hate our way of life, hate.
Well, how big is our standing army?
Our standing army, I don't know, whether like 2 mil, maybe.
Yeah, so that's a lot.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, that 5% of 50 mil extremists, wackos that want death to America, I mean, that's wild. I mean, these guys believe in a lot of different things. So I dove into, Google, Bing, I don't even know what the hell it was, and I started looking around. And I mean, I'm a Christian. I really don't give a shit too much about Muhammad or the Quran. I really don't give a shit about that. Do you give a shit about it?
I don't, not to the degree that
Do you give a shit about it?
I mean, I know it exists, but I don't believe in it. So yeah.
Well, that's good because that means that you're not a Muslim, because non-Muslims or Muslims can't lie to another Muslim. So at least the research.
So we're talking about Muslims or Islam or
Islam, like, if
I know it gets like gray
further,
and weird.
It does get gray and weird. So to further their agenda or to further their whatever, like their belief to make Muhammad or whatever the one true God of earth, blah blah blah, they could lie to us and say
as Christians or
as
non-Muslims, yeah,
right.
It's okay to lie,
right? But as you said, instant justice, theft is punishable by amputation of the hands. Criticizing or denying any part of the Quran is punishable by death. This is under Sharia. Criticizing Muhammad or denying that he is a prophet is punishable by death. Criticizing or denying Allah is punishable by death. Muslim who becomes a non-Muslim is punishable by death.
So if you leave the religion, if you leave the faith,
yeah, I guess under certain jurisdictions of Sharia.
Okay.
Well, so a non-Muslim who leads a Muslim away from Islam is punishable by death. A non-Muslim who marries a Muslim woman, it's punishable by death. A woman or girl that has been raped cannot testify in court against her rapist.
Really?
Hey, man, look it up. Testimonies of 4 male witnesses are required to prove a rape of a female. A woman or girl who alleges rape without producing 4 male witnesses is guilty of adultery.
She's guilty.
She's guilty of adultery.
What's the punishment for adultery?
A woman or girl found guilty of adultery is punishable by death.
Yeah.
A male convicted of rape can have his conviction dismissed by marrying his victim.
Really?
I don't know. I looked it up. I read it years ago, and
are these things that are practiced, or are these things that are, like the Bible, where it's like if you meet on Friday?
They're taking literal interpretation of the Quran, and that's what's going on in Afghanistan. The Taliban. The Taliban's going to follow this.
But that's
doctrine.
not necessarily representative of like the Muslim faith.
No, I wouldn't say
it's almost like saying religious fundamentalism.
Yeah.
Even though there's a lot of them.
Absolutely. But there is a lot. And this is what America needs to remember, as we were saying, like 20 years ago, this shit happened. They hate us. There's entire countries that are screaming death to America. And this is their ultimate thing. Like, as we said.
Because we let people have thought.
Yeah.
We let them marry whoever they want to marry, as long as it's not a child.
And we believe women, equal pay for equal work, all the stuff that generations of women have been fighting for. They do not like this. And it's a slap in the face that this administration is like, oh, we're going to be friends with them. We're going to listen to some guys that are on the FBI watch list.
I think no one is going to like you if they feel like you are trying to impose your philosophy and ideology on them, right? I think it's just a natural thing. Even your kids, sometimes when you try to impose certain things on them, they sort of like
they've been fighting for 1,000 years.
Yeah,
and under these principles, anything that is contrary to these things, these edicts or whatever the hell, these rules, right? They've been there well established before the United States of America. So anything that comes to interfere with that way of life is always going to be the enemy.
So basically, I mean, what I'm trying to say is, kind of like understand their sovereignty, right? And then learn to deal with it. Learn to see how you could negotiate. See how you could.
That's a good question. Should we, even if we don't like other cultures and how they behave, should we? Where's the line where it's like now you can get canceled because
this is what I'm saying. Like evil needs. I mean, I don't know, not to say like to start a holy war or anything, but there's evil and
like
bad.
let it drop into the ocean.
There's
like that. Yeah,
like there's evil and bad things in this world. And
but yet at the same time, we don't do anything to North Korea. But we don't do anything to, you know what I mean?
Right.
So I mean,
nobody's telling Kim Jong-un how to do it.
With evil, I mean, you're not going to be able to eradicate evil. Yeah, I don't think it's going to be.
We came close.
But don't you think evil's a good thing?
No, but look at what the Nazis did. Like that, they were marching people to their death, and they knew it, and they complied.
My concern is what were the Nazis doing before they started marching people? What was the behavior in that culture before they started to march people?
Right,
but we still didn't eradicate evil, right? Evil is still going to be around.
Well, I mean, look, you're a Christian, right?
Yeah,
you know full well that you can't have good without evil. You don't know what righteous is until you know what terrible is. So there's almost an argument to say that evil is essential.
No,
I don't know. I don't think evil is essential.
Well, if there's no such thing as evil. I don't think evil is the fight. Everybody's just sitting back on the beach drinking mimosas.
No, I don't know.
Don't they say like the second coming of Christ is that's the reckoning? Like
no, that's like the restoration, right? When he's going to restore it. He's going to restore everything back to what it was supposed to be.
But when has it ever been the way it was supposed to be?
Before Adam and Eve, right?
Genesis chapter 3.
Well, then he's going to Thanos everybody when he comes back.
So you look at like Genesis 1.
That was a good one. Yeah. I just saw Jesus coming up from like the ashes and just being like.
So you look at like Genesis 1 up to like Genesis 3, right? So that was pre, and then sin and evil came into the world. So then you're looking at from Genesis 3, I think up to like Revelation 21. That is where this is what we're living in now. Genesis 3 to Revelation 21, and then after that, that is where restoration comes and everything gets restored back to order. So, I mean, there's going to be even more. I don't know where in Matthew, but, Jesus was talking about there's even going to be more conflicts, more wars. I mean, like talked about neighbors disagreeing, talked about families disagreeing, and I see that like
already happening.
Yeah, I'm starting to see that. So it's gonna happen. But there's still a way. There's still a way to deal with it, right? There's still a way, and as Christians, so like for me, like what I do is I always make it about others and not about me, right? And that's my focus. I always make it about others. And I walk around and I'm like, how can I love someone today? Like when I wake up, the question that I ask myself is, what does love require of me today? So regardless of what people are going to throw at me, call me names, whatever, right? My focus is I just want to be out there and I just want to love someone. I don't like maybe, you're not going to reciprocate. I don't care. You're not going to take that. I don't care. But I'm just loving you. And I'm loving you not because you've done something for me. I'm loving you because I'm just showing you grace, right? And I just do that and I walk away and I do my thing and I'm done. And I think if more and more of us start thinking that way, right? More and more of us start having conversations, be able to go and sit someone down and have conversation. What's that book that was written about? I think my daughter is just reading that book right now.
The Da Vinci Code?
No, it's I
had one, but then he said his daughter was reading.
Written,
I need to keep it to myself.
It's written. It's been like New York bestsellers for a while. It's about like a Jewish person and a Palestinian,
right?
A Jewish person. Yeah, and they were getting along. I mean, they basically like these two groups that don't like each other.
The odd couple.
Historically.
Groups. Yes.
Yeah.
Two groups don't like each other. These two families were able to bond together because of one thing, because of the loss of their daughter, right? Because I think each of them lost their daughter or something like that.
Wait, was there a terrorist bombing?
Yeah.
They made that a movie. It was called like Two Mothers or something.
There's a movie. There's
I watched it.
There's books. There's books like that.
The girl, there's a
I forget the title of the book.
One of the ladies I worked with on Sons of Anarchy was the mother in that. She was Dendry Taylor. Yeah, she said she was working on this movie. I'm like, what's it about? And I watched it, and that was the movie. It was the two. Right. It was the two mothers. It was called Two Mothers, wasn't it?
The movie, I don't remember but the book, I'm trying to think of the title, and I'm drawing a blank. But they were able to get to that point because they had a conversation, right? They sat down, they talked, and then finally they're like, oh. You know what? So all these things don't matter?
Yes, they don't.
You know what I'm saying?
Tell it to the Taliban though. You know what I mean? Like there's crazies.
So you're gonna get the extremes. You're gonna get the extremes.
But the extremes, they're in charge.
Yeah, but you can still drown. Like you can still drown them if you want to.
I think maybe. Look, in a Western civilization, it's easier to say that. In a civilization that doesn't, you think all these tribes are going to get together and be like, you know what we're missing? Love. They haven't figured this out in 1,000 years.
Didn't it happen? The Arab Springs brought out a lot of change.
That was politics.
But it was the people. The people got up and they were like, listen, we are tired.
They were just like, fuck this guy.
I think it was the Arab Spring, right? That was when Gaddafi got out, right?
Yeah.
That was when Mubarak got out.
They went after all of them.
Right.
Yeah.
Why?
General Wesley Clark. Did you ever see that? Pull up that video, General Wesley Clark, and then say Middle East. So on YouTube, it'll be General Wesley Clark, Middle East. You ever see this?
I didn't. I know we spoke about this probably maybe like 2 years ago. I don't know if this has anything to do with it, but all these people that were there, Mubarak, Saddam Hussein, Gaddafi, the dude in Syria. Assad.
Look, listen. I love Assad. Hey, maybe I should just shut up.
Well, no. Hear me out. So those dudes, those 5 guys, they were going to sell all their oil in the dinar. The dinar. Now, correct me if I'm wrong.
And have a new currency.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong.
It's a new central bank for Africa.
Right. So they were going to sell the oil in the dinar. The only way that you can get a dinar is to give them physical gold. And that's what the U.S. did until the 70s, right? The dollar was backed by dollar.
Yeah.
Gold.
I mean, they've been thinking about the,
and now all those guys are gone.
I think we found a clip.
All those guys are gone except for
Assad on the TV.
There's only one dude left.
Yeah. I mean, it was so strategic.
Deputy Secretary Wolfowitz, I went downstairs just to say hello to some of the people on the joint staff who used to work for me. And
pause it real quick.
Called me and he said,
"Why can't you put it on the TV?
I'll send them with the display. It's all right.
You just drag it over."
No, it won't go over today.
Poo.
I lost it. I don't know what happened.
You just drag it.
Moving on.
Sir,
okay. Just listen.
Come in. You got to come in and talk to me a second. I said, well, you're too busy. He said, no. He says, about 10 days after 9/11, I went through the Pentagon and I saw Secretary Rumsfeld and Deputy Secretary Wolfowitz. I went downstairs just to say hello to some of the people on the joint staff who used to work for me. And one of the generals called me and he said, sir, you got to come in. You got to come in and talk to me a second. I said, well, you're too busy. He said, no. He says, we've made the decision. We're going to war with Iraq. This was on or about the 20th of September. I said, we're going to war with Iraq. Why? He said, I don't know. He said, I guess they don't know what else to do. So I said, well, did they find some information connecting Saddam to Al-Qaeda? He said, no. He says, there's nothing new that way. They just made the decision to go to war with Iraq. He said, I guess it's like we don't know what to do about terrorists, but we've got a good military and we can take down governments. And he said, I guess if the only tool you have is a hammer, every problem has to look like a nail. So I came back to see him a few weeks later, and by that time we were bombing in Afghanistan. I said, are we still going to war with Iraq? And he said, oh, it's worse than that. He said, he reached over on his desk, he picked up a piece of paper, and he said, I just got this down from upstairs, meaning the Secretary of Defense's office today, and he said, this is a memo that describes how we're going to take out 7 countries in 5 years, starting with Iraq and then Syria, Lebanon, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and finishing off Iran.
Wow.
Did you hear that?
No, I never did. What year was that?
When he said that?
Yeah.
I don't know what year he said that. It was on a Democracy Now! Program.
It says 2011. It's uploaded.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's 2011. He said that 10 years after.
I was saying that way before him. God bless America.
I'm just saying.
Way before 2011. My friends thought I was nuts. They still think I'm nuts, but I mean, whatever.
Yeah. I mean, if you go, honestly, like if you go to like a lot of other countries but America, people have been saying this for a while. They didn't know what's happening. Like the playbook is there. You can see it.
How is it that they know and we don't believe it?
Because they don't like the politicians here are not selling that to you right away. Like they're not selling that to you, but they know.
Maybe it's too far. I don't think it's too far gone because you were talking about standing military. Like if hunters in Pennsylvania were a military, it'd be like the number 1 largest maybe number 2 largest military in the world.
Really?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Like the amount of hunters in Pennsylvania. I mean, just think about that. The guys that know how to use weapons, God bless whoever's going to try to come in here and tell us, hey, this is what's going on.
Well, because what people don't realize is there's Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, and in the middle is Alabama.
They'll be larger. They'll be larger than China.
China's got about 3 or 4 million, I think,
in the military.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's large. Like
they have a large military.
It's just ridiculous.
So, in 20 years, after these last 20 years, should we be hopeful or should we be fearful? What I don't understand.
I think there's hope.
Should we do a little bit of try to love each other every day? And
we definitely should, but we should try to seek out evil and destroy it.
Oh yeah, I mean, totally. Like I totally agree. Where when you see evil, to try and stop evil, that is our responsibility, right? So the strategy to stopping evil is what we need to figure out. Like, is it just going bombing people?
Yeah,
it's a bullet to the face,
or like what kind? You know what I'm saying? Like, so is it
leaving $87 or $88 million or $1 billion worth of military equipment? Is that stopping evil?
We're going to find out tomorrow.
I don't know.
We're going to find out tomorrow.
Do you really think they're going to do that?
Yes.
You really think they're going to have a parade with their fingers in the air saying, fuck you, idiots?
I will bet everyone here.
Steak dinner.
Yes.
They'll probably
your cut of dinner, your cut of meat.
They probably
smoke it.
They probably would. Like
Do you think there'll be a spiteful action tomorrow?
Yes.
I think there'll
Which
be
is probably right around now.
I think there'll be a fraction though. I think there'll be a fraction, not everyone, but I think there'll be a fraction. I mean,
there's going to be video of it somewhere.
Like, how
many tanks is a fraction? Like, is it if it's just one tank? I'll be like, yeah, right, that's crazy.
No, as in like, you know,
but if it's 12 APCs,
it's not going to be a solemn thing. Like, it's not going to be like, hey, you know, this is 20 years of death. Yeah, and you know what they did call that's a graveyard of empires. No, it's just a graveyard. It's just a graveyard. Like, you people want to live in the Stone Age and want to do these crazy things. I don't know. Power after power after power are going to come there and they're going to slaughter them. And that's what's been going on since way before Alexander the Great there.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I mean, they just get slaughtered and they go back to their caves and into their mountain ranges and, I don't know, have sex with their 4 wives, pop out kids and
just build bigger armies and goats and
yeah.
It feels shitty trying to like shit on that, like because you know they're people, but at the same time,
and there's good people. Like there are genuinely good people that want just to live, and they're robbed of that. Like, they're robbed of their freedoms, that they're God-given freedoms from these people, and
that every plant animal kind of has the right to. In the world.
But that's what ideology does. I mean, we experience that in America, like right now. I mean, that's what ideology does. I mean, look, let's not go too far. Like, we look at our country right now, and
yeah, we can't keep Chicago safe.
These things are happening. Like, we talk about ideology and talk about like how they live and everything, and then I just like the last week or two, just look at what happened in Texas, right? And I sit there and I'm like,
what are we talking about?
Like the laws and stuff like that we're passing in Texas.
Voter laws,
abortion laws, the gun. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, and then you criticize like other countries that they are not smart, they're dumb, they're backward.
They can't even get that in other countries. There's no abortion. I mean, there are abortions, but they don't have the capabilities of doing it safely and effectively.
But I mean, look at us here. You know, where you're dictating. So you're basically saying, like the Texas. I'm just saying what happened. So you're saying,
Christian.
Yeah, I'm a Christian. But you're saying a 12-year-old. Oh yeah, you can't have abortion when somebody rapes you or whatever, right? But you know what? You could get a gun. You don't need to have license.
Not at 12.
But I'm just saying that kind of like the law.
Words matter, Aja.
Words do matter, but I'm saying like, you know, the kind of laws that it's like I'm sitting and I'm like, that sounds like the Taliban. Like to me, that's how I felt. Like I looked at that and I'm like, where is that?
Those laws were passed because they know that they're going to the Supreme Court.
It's right here.
They know that they're going to the Supreme Court.
If they were raped, they would just be killed. If they were already married, there wouldn't even be an abortion. They would just kill. They would kill the host.
That's how they get rid of the problem.
Yeah,
I mean you can't. At some point, you have to say that these are not apples and apples.
They are not, but in a way, like
yes, they are human beings.
But in a way, like, you know what I'm saying, like we have our problems here and we can't solve them. And then we want to go. That. I agree. And then we want to go to like you know, another countries.
Why are we overreaching, trying to solve other people's problems? Is what you're saying.
Where we have why we like, you know, we have a lot of these problems here. Like, let's focus.
Yeah,
let's focus.
I'm with you on that.
Let's solve that problem. But you know, get some adults in the room. Get some adults in the room, and let's solve problems.
If they don't want to be part of the solution,
get out of the way.
Just sit back and help in some way, shape, or form. And that's what it comes down. It comes down to helping, identifying a problem, implementing some sort of strategy, and going through with it. I don't think that there was a strategy on the exit of this, and it's like a big black eye on top of an already scarred eye, like I don't know, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's like getting punched in the face twice. 20, you know, like bad. Like
I told her twice, Dan.
Having reconstructive surgery 20 years ago, and then just getting cracked in your face again 20 years later. You know,
I think I don't know what the answer is. I don't know what the right thing to do is. I know that if people aren't talking, there's not going to be a solution anytime soon. And I know if there's this tribalist divisive behavior politically, which is insane. It used to be religion and politics you do not talk about in this country is the only thing. And it's not, and the fear is now is that we're so entrenched in what each side represents that we're too afraid that if we look away from the TV, something crazier is going to happen and we're not going to be able to control it.
That's one thing that I saw on that documentary, the 9/11 A Day in America. They talked about, or they played a radio broadcast or a news broadcast, and it was not the news that we get today. Just listening to it, I'm like, oh man, like it definitely changed. And thinking about it, reflecting on it, we were fed a 24-hour news cycle since then.
Immediately.
Yes.
Yeah.
Spoon-fed, and we ate up
and
every little bit of it.
The ticker never existed prior to 9/11. It was only on ESPN. That was it. And then the screen was now, here's your fears. Here's where your fear level should be at.
Because like they have to put, like, exactly. They just have to put you in like a state of fear.
There's no newsmen anymore. It's all opinion people.
I remember
who have contracts with Chewy.
Couple of years ago, I don't remember, maybe eight years ago or something. I kind of like hooked one of my friends on Al Jazeera, the news network.
Yeah, and you did that.
Yeah, because.
But it's interesting to hear the perspective that's not ours.
Yeah, because we were like,
not to say that it's right.
We were in college and we were having debates, arguments, and stuff like that about the world. And I'm like, dude, listen. Get out of CNN, get out of Fox News. I said, I used to listen to BBC because my dad used to listen to BBC a lot, but I don't even listen to BBC anymore. Like I started listening to like Al Jazeera and stuff like that. I mean, I went to University of Scranton. I had a ton of, friends from Saudi Arabia. I had a ton of friends from like, he's from Palestine. And a couple from like Pakistan and all these places. They were good people.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to hear their story. I didn't want anybody to just tell me how to think about them.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? Because these were people that I hung out with and stuff like that. So I started listening. So I remember like this friend of mine, American, and I was like, dude, you gotta get out, listen to other news networks, not just CNN and stuff. And then so someday he and I just sat down and we watched Al Jazeera, and he goes, man, Aja, this is news. And we all started laughing. I'm like, yeah, this is news. It's not commentary. They're just giving you facts. They're just giving you news.
Here's what happened. Here's what we can confirm. And then we're not going to confirm anything we can't confirm.
And then Al Jazeera started becoming popular in America. Now they turned.
Well, they turned too.
They turned too.
Yeah, that what RT News.
Yeah, the Russian. Yeah.
So RT News was about the same kind of like strict, like go straight to the news. Now they're in America. It's been commercialized, and we'll sensationalized.
We'll kind of wrap it up here-ish. I think now it's incumbent upon people to, unfortunately, whether they like it or not, they're going to be forced to make up their own minds. And don't let some bitch box, either in your phone or on your television, tell you what you think the truth should be. I think that you need to look at all different aspects of it.
Yeah.
And I don't think that you should come to a quick conclusion that you're just like, oh, somebody said this, let's tweet it. Or let's not confirm. I mean, the Joe Rogan ivermectin thing, it's like that is not a fucking horse dewormer. CNN ran with it. MSNBC ran with it. And no one corrected it, and it stayed up there. But if I say that there's reptilian shapeshifters in the middle of the earth, I'm off. You know what I mean?
Well,
like, there's something weird there.
And it's this, I feel the same way, like with the way that they're portraying the Taliban and the way that they're portraying extremists that want death to America and that want death to anyone that helped us.
That's why I can't. That's why I can't rationalize the behavior. I can't rationalize if you know that if you don't get the people out and you leave the shit here, it's not going to be good.
Right.
So let's get the people out. Let's wait 2 weeks. Let's get everybody out that we need to get out. We're going to let them know. We're going to call whoever we got to call. Get out, and then now we have a couple jets that we can take the
and we're going to bring all
out.
our shit. We're going to bring all our shit with us.
Yeah,
that's what they're doing in
take
Iraq.
it or we're going to bomb it.
They're doing that in Iraq. They're taking everything out. Like they didn't do that here. They did not do that there. It's insane.
Yeah.
I remember, I don't know why I thought of this. I remember being in an earthquake there in Afghanistan. In Afghanistan. It had to be around 2005, 2006. There was a major earthquake. I want to say in like Pakistan or something.
And nobody got injured.
I'm sure that there was thousands.
They were all on the phone.
I remember I was in a basement sitting with some Afghani interpreters, maybe an interrogator or two.
That's got to fuck up an interrogation, don't you think?
No. I don't think there was anything going on that particular night, but we were playing cards. And I remember sitting around this table and all like the locals, like the Afghanis, like they ran out of the room. And I'm like,
before you felt anything?
No, it felt like the floor was going one direction and the roof was going another. And they ran out. And I'm like, where the fuck are these guys going? I'm like, great, till the next hand, smoking the hookah.
Yeah.
And just, they came running back in like, there was an earthquake. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, that's what an earthquake feels like. Like, that was wild. These dudes were they ran out and there was just the U.S. military that was just sitting down in this basement just waiting like, what?
Well, we can't do anything against that. God's not a terrorist.
Because it happens to them a lot.
They're used to
earthquakes.
it. Yeah,
I guess, man.
They're so used to it. Yeah.
Did we forget anything on this one? I love having you on, man. I think it's great.
Well,
I really like talking to you.
This is very interesting. This is fun.
Yeah. Did you have fun again?
Yeah. I wish I brought booze though.
What'd you think about fucking referee Dan?
I'm gonna go around. I'm gonna start going around to actual games and look for you. Because there's no way
he's retired.
He's definitely a real referee.
I've hung up the cleats a long time ago.
Wait, I mean, yeah, it's real.
You didn't know that until right now?
It's real.
Yeah.
He used to be a ref.
Wait, no, were you? Really?
Yes, I was.
Oh,
yeah.
Yes, this is real.
okay. I was gonna say, yeah, it's real.
I know tomorrow's 9/11. I just want to say, you know how much I care about you. Thank you for everything that you've done.
Yeah,
definitely. I don't want to say thank you for your service because I think everybody says it too much. And I just want you to know that I love you and I'm happy that you're here. And there is more booze.
Well, I love all you guys.
You know,
thanks for opening this up to me.
Yeah. Thank you for being you, man. Thank you for being you.
And what a week.
What a week.